Good evening, folks. We are back in the old neighborhood. I decided to purchase the full game, and I've actually played through it. And I thought I'd give you my impressions of it, starting with what drew me in initially: the setting, the locations, and even the characters. So here we go. The locations from the demo have been spruced up with additional detail and characters. For example, over here we have graffiti of our old communist dictator, Ceausescu. There's also this wall which says, "No writing on the walls." We have our neighbor here who's cooking the famous Romanian delicacy called mich, and he complains that his neighbors won't let him cook fish because of the smell. In the playground, there's a man sleeping in here, and he may or may not have a beard. We have tagged dogs. And my personal favorite, an additional note from a neighbor saying, "Hey, stop shitting in the stairwell." Not at all uncommon. There's also a slightly better tutorial system in the beginning here, with these yellow sticky notes indicating the essential items you will need to progress through the game. These aren't that pervasive, and they're really only in the opening section. There's also just an overall increase in the number of interactive objects and little flavor details and cultural references that, people who come from Romania or Galati in particular will appreciate. The new locations are more expansive, with the neighborhood gradually opening up as the story progresses. They are still equally rich in detail and atmosphere, with my favorite probably being this little park you visit at night. And with that out of the way, it's now time to address the elephant in the room: performance. As you may recall, the demo had some performance issues and visual glitches, and I'm happy to report that there are noticeable improvements on both of those fronts. The game runs at a much more stable frame rate, and there are fewer glitches as far as I could tell with the shadows and lighting. I did, however, consistently get a fatal error crash every time I tried to run the game in 4K at max settings. Now, this may be because my video card and processor are slightly older generation, but most other games that I play, even ones that come out this year, I can run in 4K at decently high settings at a stable frame rate. So, on to the gameplay, the core of the experience. What is it exactly? Well, it's, in my opinion, a very light sampling of mixed gameplay elements. You have some stealth, some combat, you have some exploration slash investigation when you go around looking for clues to puzzles. So you also have puzzles to solve. And so there's not much that you do. There's a section as well where you play as another character, which I won't spoil here. And I wish I could say it's a matter of, quality versus quantity. But the truth is, it's a very mixed bag. And I suppose the one saving grace it has is that it ultimately doesn't outstay its welcome and does not interfere with the atmosphere and the story too much. I suppose ultimately, at its best, that's what the gameplay is. It's simple, it's unobtrusive, and it allows you to stay immersed in the setting. At its worst, however, I find the game, sort of by design, without even accounting for the glitches, sort of bounces between overly funneling you and leading you down a specific path on one hand, and then at other times it leaves you completely aimless while still expecting only a very specific solution from you and not accounting for any player creativity at all. There are sections where it will tell you go hide, and you can hide, logically in a number of places in your environment, and there's no reason whatsoever why those places shouldn't work, but the game expects you to hide in a very particular place, and it's scripted to only respond when you go to that particular place and trigger the next event. So there is stuff like that. And there is one particular section that sort of drove me nuts that I want to give a here as an example. So early in the game, you go down in a basement to look for a key, and you are also being chased by the werewolf during this time. Now, what I started doing naturally, because I got immersed in the action, as I was running from the werewolf, I would lock the doors behind me. I would close them and lock them, right? So I'm going down this basement. I lock the door behind me, and the werewolf is nowhere to be seen or heard, but I lock the door behind me just in case. I go pick up the key, and what happens is the werewolf instantly spawns outside the door. Now, if you, like me, you made the mistake of locking the door, what ends up happening is as soon as you unlock and open it, the werewolf smacks you, eats you alive. In fact, even if you keep the door closed and locked, and you approach the door, you enter the werewolf's hitbox or grab box or whatever you want to call it, and he will still kill you through the locked door. So what you're supposed to do is leave the door open so that when the werewolf spawns, he starts running towards you down this hallway, and you have enough time to sort of kite him through some side rooms and then exit the hallway through the door that you initially entered. And then you can lock him, and then it works, but only then it works. So that was really, to me, was sort of the low of the game. So there, I share that one with you. And also, these side rooms that I described have plenty of little nooks and crannies that you think you could pass through if you just made an effort to vault over like a barrel or something like that. But yet the game has this way of there's a huge tension between the game's environment and its mechanics and the very limited solutions that are actually scripted into the game. So all that being said, do I recommend the game? It depends. If you're able to appreciate a slower experience, if you have an eye for detail, if you are drawn to the setting, the story, the characters that I've mentioned thus far, if you can overlook the mechanical and technical shortcomings of the game, then the answer is yes. If you are from Romania or Romanian or from Galati, like I am, then I'd say the answer is a strong yes, especially considering that the price is fairly low and it's made by a team of 2 people who are just starting out. And to me, at least, that was a factor in making my decision to purchase the game. However, if you are looking for a mechanically solid survival horror experience, or who knows, maybe you're under the impression that this is some sort of immersive sim, then definitely this is not the game for you. It is basically a competent walking simulator experience with a light sprinkling of gameplay elements from other genres. Thank you for listening. Have a good night. Have a good day, wherever you may be. Take good care.